Boys and girls, remember how we read the story, The Cactus Hotel, earlier today?
As your students start to read more complex text, they'll need to be able to track the subject, the who or the what, across a passage. It's what turns a group of disconnected sentences into a story. Students already know that every sentence has a who or a what. What they'll be learning today is how authors use pronouns and synonyms to point back to the subject and keep those ideas connected. Watch as third grade teacher Julie Turner and reading specialist Carla Stanford guide students at Burgess Peterson Academy in Atlanta through their first step in tracing the subject, learning how pronouns and synonyms work.
Today we're going to become experts on the who or what.
They start by reviewing pronouns.
There's a group of words that can take the place of the who or what. What are those words, Ms. Turner?
Those words are called pronouns. Let's read through the list of words together. I, you, she, he, it, we, you, they.
Thumbs up if you've heard of a pronoun before. Thumbs up if you used a pronoun when you were talking. Yes, you're already experts on pronouns when you're talking. You might say, my mom is working hard. She is a hard worker, right? And you would take mom and you would replace it with what pronoun? She. Excellent. So we know about pronouns when we are speaking, but now we want to think about the way an author uses pronouns to replace. Everyone say replace.
Replace.
Say pronouns replace.
Pronouns replace.
The label pronoun doesn't tell us exactly what pronouns do. By teaching students that pronouns replace, Ms. Stanford is helping them understand the job of a pronoun.
So they replace the who or what, and when they replace, they refer back. And what we have to start doing is thinking about, what are they referring back to? So we're going to do some practice. We're going to read some sentences, and we are going to make some decisions. We're going to pretend to be the author, and we're going to make some decisions about what pronouns should replace. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's take a look at our first sentence. The giant cactus grows.
Ms. Turner asks her students to think about what would replace the giant cactus in a second sentence. The giant cactus grows for years.
The giant cactus is a noun that we can replace with one of those words from the list. Which word would replace the giant cactus? Give me a thumbs up when you know which word could replace the giant cactus. Hadley, which word do you think would replace the giant cactus?
It.
Exactly. It grows for years. The giant cactus is it.
Do you see how that would have been repetitive to say the giant cactus and the giant cactus? And the job of the pronoun was to do what? Replace it.
And it's shorter.
So it's shorter and it's not so repetitive. So now let's read all together, both of the sentences, and let's replace the giant cactus with it. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's read together. The
giant cactus grows. It grows for years.
Doesn't that sound so much better?
Yes.
The Cactus Hotel story has a lot of subjects to keep track of. The hotel itself, birds, bats, and snakes. Knowing which pronoun can stand in for a subject will help students keep track of or trace who or what each sentence is referring to, boosting their comprehension.
So I think it's worth doing one more example where we're not replacing it with it, because it is one singular thing. But I noticed on this sentence, the ants and mice want to live in the Cactus Hotel. I don't think I can replace it with it this time.
Why not? Why can't we replace it with it?
Because there's two of them.
Two, and it only refers to
One.
Yeah, they know so much already. I love it.
Let's take a look at our next sentence. The ant and mice find space to nest. So what do we think we can replace it with?
They.
Let's see the word they. You got it. All right, let's read those two sentences together now. Ready? The ants and mice want to live in the Cactus Hotel. They find space to nest.
Okay, as a reader, do you see how this is flowing?
Yes.
When you get to they, your brain should be thinking, oh, what does they stand in for? What is it replacing?
The ants and mice.
So you constantly, as a reader, have to track that. And as a writer, if we do the opposite, right? We're the ones creating the content. We don't want to have our stories have the same words repeated over and over and over. And so now we know we can use a pronoun to replace.
Next, Miss Stanford explains how synonyms work.
Everyone say synonym.
Synonym.
A synonym is a word that means the same. Say synonym.
Synonym.
Same.
Same.
Use your hand. Synonym.
Synonym.
Same.
Same.
If happy is a word, what is a word that means the same as happy?
Joy.
Joy.
Excited.
Excited.
Yes.
Happiest. Glad. Those are all very similar. What'd you say, sweet friend?
Happiness.
Happiness, right? So words that are similar, they might not be exactly the same, but they give the same sentiment, the same meaning. So as readers, as we are reading and we're thinking about who or what is the sentence about, who or what is the passage about, we know that the who or what will be named. We know the who or what can be replaced with a pronoun, but a who or what can also be reworded. Everyone say reworded.
Reworded.
With a synonym.
Synonyms and pronouns aren't interchangeable tools, so assigning each one a consistent function, pronouns replace, synonyms reword, helps students stay anchored as they're reading and processing sentences.
So we're going to practice this together. This happened a lot in the Cactus Hotel, where the author intentionally took a who or what and did some rewording. So we're going to put our heads together, and our who or what we're going to think about is the Cactus Hotel. So I want you to think about that. If you were going to come up with another word to reword so that your passage didn't say the Cactus Hotel was big, the Cactus Hotel had lots of creatures, the Cactus Hotel had blooms on top, so that you didn't repeat the Cactus Hotel over and over and over, what is another word or group of words that you could use in place of it? I'm going to have you turn and talk. Turn and talk with the people at your table, and let's see if you can come up with an idea before I share the ideas that Ms. Turner and I came up with.
For insects, you could do bugs. But we're talking about both of them. Okay.
I love your ideas. You're doing great work. Okay, we're going to pull some together. All right, friends, as this way, I heard some amazing ideas. We have the Cactus Hotel. What did you say, friend?
A house for animals.
A house for animals. That's really cool. These guys also were saying...
A word for house.
Oh, another word for house. They were really brainstorming. What is another word for house? I heard some people over...
Home.
A home, a home. What else?
A nest. Maybe
A nest.
Maybe a shelter. A shelter.
A shelter. Do you like that? A shelter?
Yes.
A shelter for animals? That could work.
A safe.
A safe place. There's this scientific word that I'm thinking of that means a home for animals. Do you guys know? What is that, Hadley?
Habitat.
A habitat. Everyone say habitat.
Habitat.
So now we have come up with a whole plethora of synonyms to reword the Cactus Hotel. So let's think about this. As a reader, if I'm reading the Cactus Hotel and I know the who or what this book is about is what? It's about the Cactus Hotel. Now I can anticipate all the ways the author may reword the Cactus Hotel so they don't repeat it over and over and over and over again. Does that make sense? Now shift your brain, say shift.
Shift.
Now think about it as a writer. As a writer, if Ms. Turner said, I would like for you to write a paragraph about the Cactus Hotel and all the residents of the Cactus Hotel. Now you have a strategy. You can use the Cactus Hotel. You can use a replace word called a pronoun. And now you can use a reword, which is a synonym. You have a strategy. You ready to try some more?
Yes.
So now we're going to look at birds, rats, and snakes. That's our who or what. Now you are going to work with the people at your table, and I want you to come up with the rewords or the synonyms. It can be one word or it can be a group of words. Turn and talk.
Synonym is creatures, animals, and
What do you think?
Visitors.
Oh, visitors. Do you like that one? Kaylee, Kingston, and Kaylee. Okay, we had some brilliance over here. We're going to check in with them. These two friends had a way that they want to reword birds, rats, and snakes. They said...
Visitors.
Visitors. Do you guys agree? I also heard some other ones. Did you hear some over here, Ms. Turner?
I heard desert animals.
I like that one too. I heard another one over here.
It was creatures.
Do you like that one? So we have desert animals, we have creatures, we have visitors, and we have birds, rats, and snakes. Do you think we have a bank of words that would help us anticipate what's coming?
Yes.
I think so too. You want to see what we came up with? The animals. Would that work?
Yeah.
Not as fun as yours, but yeah. Excellent. Now, trick question. If I wanted to replace, not reword, but if I wanted to replace all of these who are whats, what pronoun would I use? They. You're really getting the hang of it. You guys are doing excellent work.
Okay, so boys and girls, you said that the replacement pronoun for cactus is it. Now I want to hear some of the synonyms that you had for cactus. Raise your hand. Joseph.
Hotel.
Hotel. All right, so I'll write hotel on my list. Let's see if we've got another idea. Kingston.
Plant.
Plant. Absolutely. Cactus is a plant. We'll add the word plant to the list. And I saw some of those people had the same ideas as Kingston.
I think you guys have gotten really good at this. Are you ready? Drum roll. Can you do it with your partners? Yeah. Can you turn and talk and work to fill out the next one all by yourselves?
Okay, boys and girls, I think we're ready to have some discussion here. I heard a really good conversation between Ava and Joseph. They were deciding which pronoun to use. And Ava, I heard you say something about the word it. Can you tell us what you said about the word it?
So what I said about it was bats and insects are two, and it means one, so we decided to put they.
That was such a smart idea. And I see some people are giving you this. They had the same conversation with their partners. And I know I saw some really eager hands ready to answer a replacement synonyms for bats and insects. Sadie.
Creatures.
Creatures, that's a great word that will replace both bats and insects. Let's record that on our chart. I think we haven't heard from Amy in a while.
Animals.
Animals, that makes sense. Let's record the word animals.
Thumbs up if you had animals on your paper, and if you didn't, you can add it. This is all about creating a word bank for you to really think about this. So we're gonna stop right here, put your hands down and put your eyes right here. You guys, thank you so much for this hard work you did today. You already knew what a pronoun was, and you already knew what a synonym was, but what you started learning today is that they have a job when they're in a sentence or when they're in a passage. And as readers, if we know their job, we know their intention, we can track them, and we can be thinking about the who or what.
Now that students understand the role that pronouns and synonyms play at the word level, their next lesson will be focused on applying what they've learned at the next level, sentences and passages.
Pat yourselves on the back. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a woo woo. Good job.
Reading Universe is made possible by generous support from Jim and Donna Barksdale, the Hastings Quillen Fund, an advised fund of the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, the AFT, the Emily Hall Tremaine Foundation, and anonymous donors. Special thanks to Burgess Peterson Academy, Reading is Essential for All People, and Atlanta Public Schools. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at RU Teaching. Reading Universe is a service of WETA Washington, D.C., the Barksdale Reading Institute, and First Book.